where do you see the future of this industry and the most disruption over the coming years? So let's start on my left, Arak, from your perspective. Where do you see?
Yeah, so I do believe that the future of the gaming, of the whole industry, is going to be strictly related to the value proposition that we are talking about today. So I think the shift in the trust paradigm I was talking about before is going to put even more pressure, not only on the competition, but basically will change the way how the people think of gaming. I think instead of staying just an entertainment, it will also become something more like a lifestyle, which is important. We see what is happening on all the gaming events all around the globe. The recent championships that we had a chance to host in Poland were just a massive event, bringing a lot of attention from all around the world, actually. And I think that the future for the industry is bright. It is going to be a different industry in a couple of years because of the changes that we are pushing for. But I think it's very exciting time, and it's good to be here and to take part in this journey.
What are the industries that you see that are most adopting this and changing the quickest?
I think these are the ones for whom the technology change is generating the most of benefits, immediate benefits, or potentially is creating some risks. And sometimes it is connected, actually. So we see a lot of interest coming from the financial institutions of different kind. So not only the banking sector, but also insurance and so on. For these guys, this can be a true game changer as well. So all the P2P model for all the intermediaries is something that they have to look at very closely, and they will have to somehow adapt it later on.
Cool. I'm sure we'll all be very, very upset if the banking industry gets disrupted. Kim, from a gaming perspective, where do you see the most disruption coming?
So as I started researching crypto and trying to understand this thing that was in front of me, one of the things I found out, was that the world used to run on local currencies. And when you dive into the concept of local currencies, it was beautiful. I think the problem today would be the drawer of coins, at home. So I don't think it'll be local currencies. I think it'll be community currencies. It'll be currencies based on interest and based on fellowship of man. So community. And I think what we're moving into is a world where your social responsibility and your social footprint means more and more, and that's because we're shedding a lot of things, and we're actually allowed to show true humanity now in many different ways. The technology, ironically, has enabled, and I think 5-6 years from now, if you're trying to do some kind of community thing, specifically gaming it's all about community. You rally around the one game that you play or the other game you play, right? That is the fellowship. If you don't have some kind of sharing back mechanism, I don't think you're going to be in business. I think the future is decentralized, and you can choose to join it, or you can choose to stand apart, but it comes down to value sharing.
Yeah, very cool. One of the interesting things when myself and Dusan were at the angel investing was about because of the technology that's around, the opportunity for investors to only invest in companies where they shared values, and communities are all about those shared values. Geography is irrelevant now. It becomes really interesting. Very cool. Thank you. Viktor, your thoughts?
Oh, yes. So I think the future of video gaming is esports. And I think esports is going to become the largest form of entertainment on earth. And it comes down, just as Kim described it very, very correctly, it comes down to the community. It's a community thing, and it's going through. We have realized this early, not because of our passion as well, but because we've been experimenting a lot in this space since early days. And our business is combining basically esports with e-commerce. So through esports, actually, we managed to raise our share in many markets, including the US. Within 1 year of our investment in esports in the US through sponsoring basically teams and events in a smart way, in an efficient way, we managed to raise the profile of that country from the 10th place to the 3rd place on our revenue sources. And even after we stopped these sponsorship because they became simply too expensive and not efficient as before anymore, it continued its growth because we managed actually to continue the efficient contact with that community.
Yeah, I mean, this to me is what's so interesting is that, as Kim mentioned earlier, this is an industry that's bigger than music and film combined, yet there's only 4,000 people that are making players that are making a living from it. So that it's such a nascent industry in so many ways in terms of the sponsorship, yet it's still able to fill stadiums Kim.
So, in 2005, I randomly became the chief marketing officer of a startup in Denmark called SteelSeries. We did mouse pads. We did $35 mouse pads, which was like insane back then, and it's kind of insane now when you think about it. As running marketing, I didn't do any kind of advertising for 5 years. The first 5 years, while we scaled to $56 million a year in revenue from zero, without taking any bank loans, without taking any investments, just on like pure organic growth, by investing in the community. Like if they like your product and they like your value and they share, your view on the world and your vision, you don't need to advertise. The best marketing in the world is you telling other people what you do, and that's it. You not selling it.
Yeah, I must agree here. Actually, I think Kim showed the growth story of us, basically jumping from year one, $3 million US dollars in revenues up to 17 million in the second year. Was purely organic. I mean, we haven't invested a single cent, in advertising whatsoever. We also didn't believe like our expansion to the US should be through AdWords or through Facebook advertising. We did it actually by, again, working with the community.
Cool, very cool. Jun Hao, what are your thoughts on where this is all going and where the biggest disruption is going to be over the next few years?
Right, so let me just give a little bit from the investor's point of view because they came from the gaming point of view and the blockchain point of view and the business point of view. So for me personally, I'm invested into a lot of ICOs, similar to Dusan. I also invested in Bluezero as well. I think the game is changing for the ICO landscape because 6 months ago, you just invest in any ICO, you're going to make money, right? You're going to just, once you get listed on an exchange, you're going to just sell, you're going to make 5 to 6 times money, right? But right now, the market is changing because as we all know, most ICOs, they actually do not pan out as what they plan to be on their white paper and roadmap. So one tip for everyone out here, if you are like an investor or you are into ICOs, it's important to look at the company, right? It's important to make sure that you really have a business model in place, a business that's already in profits, right? Not only that, the vision of the team is also very important as well. You must make sure that what they plan to do, it's aligned with what the entire company wants. And that's why I think that, that's why I volunteered to be part of the team of advisors for Kinguin, because I think that their project is going to be one of the big ones coming up this year. And as we all know, right, there's this shift towards, more, people start to be more sophisticated. Investors start to understand more market. It's not just about the white paper and the roadmap anymore. It's about the team and the company behind that really helps to, whether this make the projects a success or not, right? Yeah.
Okay, so just I'm going to come back this way, but if we could each finish off by, for people that are interested in this space, what's one resource or one final piece of advice that you would like to leave with them? And we'll start with you, Jun Hao.
So for people who are interested in this space, I think the first thing that you've got to do is to, maybe even start a first account, to get maybe like a CoinHako account or a Gemini account. If let's say you're in Singapore, is to buy your first cryptocurrency. I think many times many people, want to invest, like you have been, talking to your friends to invest, but then you have not even buy your first Bitcoin. It's like trying to learn to swim just by reading a book. That doesn't work. You just got to jump into the water. You need to take a first step, invest in your first Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, or our Kinguin token. I think that's the first thing that I want everyone to do. If let's say you're really keen to invest in this space. Not only that, it's important to do your due diligence, right? Don't just go into a coin just because everyone is talking about it, right? So just as someone was presenting, like, once if everyone is like kind of like saying, you should invest in this, then I think it's Dusan, that you should not invest in it, right? So that's actually to avoid. One tip for investors is to avoid the FOMO mentality. Don't go into a coin just because everyone is talking about it. So probably that might be just be overhyped, and in stocks term that's kind of like overvalued, right? So it's to do your due diligence and to actually start putting some fiat into this cryptocurrency and start your investing journey. That's what I would give to the people who are
No, normal rules apply. That none of this is investment advice.
Right.
Etc. Etc. Viktor.
I was actually about to say the same as Jun. He took it away from me. Well, I mean, start as a practitioner. It's actually the first thing I did when I learned about cryptocurrencies and all the ICO thingy. My first account was on Coinbase, and I tried to buy some Bitcoin and stuff, you know. I managed actually at last to buy one Bitcoin through eToro, which is probably not the usual platform to buy Bitcoins today. I forgot it. I woke up when it actually was about 22,000. So yeah, I mean, be a practitioner in the space. That's the best way to approach it. But all of you here are, I believe.
Kim?
I don't really have any good advice. I have like bad advice. So I just hired a PR agency. I've worked with multiple PR agencies in my career. And I asked them to look at the press release announcing, it's like basically leading up to a series of releases we'll be doing over the next 2 weeks to explain like the products that I've been explaining to you guys. And the press thing that they came back with was awful. Like, it was really, really bad. So I was sitting there reading their English, trying to explain decentralization and what crypto was, and it was just awful. And I realized that 5 months ago, I would have written exactly that. That's how bad I would have been at explaining the thing to other people because I didn't understand it myself. I think it takes 5 to 6 months to understand this space. I'm still learning new things, but I think it takes 5 to 6 months. The one thing that I grabbed onto was, I forgot his name, Anton, there's a Greek guy who actually understands economy. There's one of them apparently. Original Bitcoin guy, Anton something. You would know. Well, he said a couple of things that hit me. Like, one, if you don't have the keys to your Bitcoin, it's not your Bitcoin. That really struck me. And the second thing he said was like, the moment that he stopped looking at this like as an investment, and he started asking the people when he was giving like speeches and so on to be paid in crypto, his entire life changed and his perception of crypto changed. And so same thing, get into it because the thing we've tried to design now for our community is a way where you can earn crypto. Because then it becomes a native part of your life and you all of a sudden see the value creation that's happened completely different. And that happened to me too.
Very cool. And Arak, finally.
So from my perspective, I was used to working in the innovation area all my life practically. Not only because I'm an engineer and technologist, but also because this is something I love to do, to innovate. And I think up until the projects that we are working right now on together with Viktor, I have never seen the innovation area that would be going that far and at the same time at such a safe pace, I would say, or in a safe manner. So this is something that excites me a lot because I've seen the projects that were failing, I've seen the projects that were going too far, and the way how we operate right now, it makes me quite comfortable, and I still enjoy, and I have a feeling that we are on the front edge of the innovation, of the evolution, and it's super exciting. And I just recall the memory from the World Championships that were in Poland, and we had a big fair around with the technology companies presenting the newest hardware, and I was just looking at it and saying, this is the best stuff in the world. I didn't have it in my data centers in the biggest corporation in the world, you know. So this is super exciting. This is really great industry to work for, and I'm really excited.
Very cool, very cool. So I've got one last question for you guys, and the question is: have you learned something and got some value from today? Yes. Okay. Well, that's good. So could we please give our panel a round of applause? Thank you very much.